Going on, guys? So the Red Sox and Tigers start up here in about 2 hours, and I figured I would make my video right now. This is going to be a hell of a series. It was a great series in Oakland. Game 5, Justin Verlander just looked absolutely outstanding. I knew that game was over about 2 innings into it. Sonny Gray, his first in Game 2, his Game 2 start, his first start of the series. He came out and he established his fastball command early. I mean, whether it was two-seamers to right-handers, blowing guys away with the high four-seam fastball, great late life, and then, it was curveball, just being able to throw it at will at any count. I mean, that was when Sonny Gray, you got to tip your hat to him, man. I mean, he was absolutely outstanding. He was filthy in Game 2. And you could see why Bob Melvin went to him in Game 5, the deciding game, because Colon hasn't had that much success against the Tigers in his career, even though Colon, has been a formidable pitcher this year. He's been very good. But I mean, Sonny Gray, he was just outstanding. But he comes out this game. His fastball command was a bit shaky, It actually wasn't that good. I mean, I think he had 3 walks. His fastball command wasn't as good. The Tigers actually got a couple walks, but they actually didn't get a hit, I think, till the 3rd inning. And I'm like, man, why is it taking him so long to start hitting him? Because his curveball, he just could not get that over consistently for strikes. I mean, he'd throw it, and you'd see on the pitch track it was middle. Throw it middle, or it would be up high, on the top of the strike zone, but not good break. Or when he would get one down, it would be way in the dirt, wouldn't even be close to a quality curveball that someone would actually swing at. Like in Game 2, that stuff, his curveball was starting at the belt buckle letters and boom, hitting the bottom of the zone. Or he would snap them off and they're falling in the dirt, but they're a perfect pitch of starting waist high or thigh high and just falling straight off the table. They were nasty. But I was like, I'm surprised they're not really hitting him right now because he can't throw that curveball over like he was in any count for strikes like he could in Game 2. The Tigers can sit fastball, and if they don't have to worry about that breaking ball, Tigers are a hell of a fastball hitting team. That's one of their strengths is hitting the fastball. And sure enough, Torrey Hunter, worked a walk, got on base. And, Miggy Cabrera, he has not been that good when it comes to hitting the ball the other way for power because he just has no lower body in his swing. He's all upper bodying it. And, so they're trying to throw him away, trying to make him fly out, to right field because they know he can't drive it out of the park right now in that direction. And Gray threw a pitch, and like I said, he had been missing with that fastball already quite a bit, missing over the middle with it. And he threw it, and he threw one middle in, belt high, and Cabrera hit it out. It wasn't crushed, but he hit it out, and it was just, a big home run. It set the table for Verlander. It gave him some breathing room early on. And Verlander, man, whether the A's are so clueless at the plate against Verlander, they were getting awful swings. Whether it was his fastball, no matter how hard he threw it, 98 or 92, they were just laid on him. And it had such great life. Explosion at the end. That changeup, he throwing it at will is his best changeup looked all year. He even said it was the first time all year he's had his changeup. His curveball looked outstanding. And when those guys would look for those 3 pitches, he'd break off that filthy slider. He was the Verlander of old. Coming into his past 5 starts after that, he had a 2.67 ERA. Like I said, he had struck out 42 hitters in 32 and 2/3 innings. So he had his nasty stuff the previous 5 starts, but this was really all put together. He's shut Oakland out for almost, I think it's like 28 innings or whatever, the last couple playoff starts at Oakland. He has just been dominant against the A's, and he proved it again. And the Tigers, came up big, got a big win, big come from behind in the series. But Boston's a bit better team than Oakland. They had the most wins in the AL this year, even though if you look at the Tigers' Pythagorean theorem, when the Tigers should have had 99 wins this year, according to the run differential, even though they had 93, yeah. And this series, man, is not going to be easy because the Red Sox, the Tigers' offense has been a bit for the first series. Cabrera's not healthy. The Tigers' offense has had trouble scoring runs except for the last 2 games. They scored quite a good amount of runs, and their offense looked a bit better, looked a bit perkier than it did the first 4, or 3, I should say. But Boston, man, they just don't beat teams. They kill teams. They have just destroyed teams. Tampa quieted them down quite a bit the last 2 games. Tampa won in Game 3 but lost in Game 4. But it was a close game. If you pitch, make quality pitches, play good defense, and don't give away outs, you can beat the Red Sox. Because, they got guys in that lineup that'll strike out and won't walk much. Napoli's one of them. Will Middlebrooks is one of them. You know, they got young speedsters on that team who come off the bench like Bradley Jr. and Bogarts. But they also got guys, you know, power through the lineup. You know, Ellsbury hasn't shown the power, but he's a speedster. And the way the Tigers have a hard time throwing out would-be base stealers, you know, he could be a big difference maker this series because he could run rampant all over the Tigers' catchers. But, you know, Saltatamacchia can take you deep. Napoli can take you deep. Johnny Gomes, he's clutch. He can take you deep. Ellsbury can take you deep. I mean, they just got guys throughout their lineup that can really do some damage. I mean, even that Carp kid came out, hit a walk-off or hit a grand slam, pinch a grand slam in the regular season. I mean, they got guys throughout 1 through 9 that could do some damage. It is not easy out, so they score lots and lots of runs. You have to pitch and play good defense against these guys, because you do that like the Rays did the last couple games of the series. You make quality pitches, you know, you play good defense, you don't give them extra outs, you can beat them. But they are a hard team because they got nasty dudes in the back end of their bullpen. They got guys like Workman, Uehara, Tazawa. I mean, they don't blow leads. Craig Breslow, I mean, he was outstanding in the Rays series. So it's a formidable matchup. There's this article on SB Nation. I wanted to read you guys the stats for this. The Tigers and OPS plus in the Red Sox. The Red Sox are 117, the Tigers are 110. In OPS, the Red Sox as a team posted a 795. OPS, the Tigers posted a 780. Their collective slash as a team, the Red Sox was 277, 349, 446. The Tigers were 283, 346, 344, or 434. Home runs, the Sox beat them by 2, 178 to 176. Runs scored was 853 to 796. So, I mean, these two teams matched each other pretty much perfectly from an offensive standpoint. And then you look at the starter standpoint. The Tigers have a 3.44 ERA as the starting staff. The Red Sox have a 3.84 ERA. So the Tigers do have a better starting 4, or starting 5, I should say, than the Red Sox do. I mean, that goes without saying. You know, who would have known though if you had a healthy Buchholz all year? And Lester's really brought it on too the last month. And then Lackey's been outstanding as well. But just the Tigers 1 through 4, Verlander, Scherzer, Fister, Sanchez. I mean, I think our 1 through 4 is definitely better than theirs. But when it comes to equalizing it out, I mean, look at the Red Sox. They didn't have to bring in any starters late in the series to hold them over because you got no confidence in guys like Cal Albuquerque. You don't have Bruce Rendon in there. Phil Koch's coming back this series, you know, which sucks because he blows. And then you got guys like Paconen's gone. So, I mean, the Tigers don't got much bullpen depth. They only got a couple guys they can rely on, which is Benoit, Smiley, Veras. And the Red Sox got a couple more guys in the back end of their pen that can bridge the innings for you, you know, to get you to Tazawa and get you to Uehara. So, you know, they got a bit of advantage in the bullpen aspect of it. But I think as a starting staff, we got a better starting staff than them. But as an offensively matched team, they've been a better offensive team in the playoffs than we have, you know, because Miggy's been hurt and our offense hasn't been as productive. But according to regular season numbers, this is going to be a hell of a matchup. 2 very evenly matched teams. And I think if the Tigers do lose to Boston in 6 or 7 games, I wouldn't be surprised because of just how battered up Miguel Cabrera is and how inconsistent the offense has been. But if the Tigers get past the Boston Red Sox, there is no doubt in my mind they win the World Series. Mark it here. You heard it first. Whoever wins this series will win the World Series. There's no doubt in my mind. Whoever wins this series will win the World Series, and that's all there is to it. You're not going to convince me otherwise. If the Red Sox make it past us, they're winning the World Series. If the Tigers make it past the Red Sox, they're winning the World Series. There's no doubt in my mind. So, other than that, Austin Jackson needs to step it up. Torrey Hunter needs to step it up because, I mean, Austin Jackson, I hope he took some extra PP today because he looks absolutely clueless at the plate. I mean, 1 hit or 2 hits in the entire series. I mean, he had 13 strikeouts, 14 strikeouts, one of the 2. I mean, he just looked awful. You know, it didn't matter what they're throwing out there, curveballs, sliders, changeups, fastballs, no matter where they were in the zone. He was starting his swing early, and it just looked pitiful. And Torrey Hunter wasn't that good either this series. They need to step it up because they need to be, if we're going to keep up with the Red Sox, hopefully we don't get into a slugging match. Hopefully we get into 2-1 victories, 1-0 victories with these guys. We want to keep these guys from, because you don't want to get into a fist fight with these guys. You don't want to brawl. You want to make it to where we get a couple run lead and outpitch them. That's what we want to do, because you want to get into a slugfest with the Red Sox, you're not going to win that series. That's all there is to it. You want to outpitch these guys and don't let their offense run wild. That's what we got to hope for. That's the only way we're going to win this series, because if you want to get into a slugfest with the Red Sox, you're going to be going 10 rounds, because it's not going to end easily and it's not going to end quietly. That's for sure. So I hope the Tigers take it in 6, because you don't want to have to go to a Game 7 at Fenway, especially as bad as the Tigers play at Fenway. But I'm going to go a prediction, get Tigers in 6. Hope to God Tigers in 6. Need Jackson to step up. Need Hunter to step up. Hopefully Johnny P and Victor Martinez continue to carry the lineup a little bit. Hopefully Cabrera becomes a pull hitter for one series to take some balls off the monster. Hopefully Prince Fielder decides to try going the other way a little bit more, try flicking some balls off the monster. Jose Iglesias, you know, I'm not much for bunting, but maybe he needs to try to start bunting for hits or something, because use his speed, because his plate discipline hasn't been great. He hasn't been too productive either as a guy in the lineup. So hopefully he comes around a little bit this series. And pitching. Let's try not to get into an offensive series. Let's just try to win games 2-0. That's all I'm hoping for. That way we can advance, because this is going to be a tough one, guys. But I'm still saying Tigers in 6. Go Tigers. And I'll be back to make a video after the 2 games with Fenway are over. Have a good one, guys.